Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Fredericks with Nancy Fredericks International, and our 16th mindful business tip today is you're not thinking with your brain alone, no matter what you may be telling yourself. So the reality is that we got more brains working for us than we ever thought before. You know, it's been fascinating to me because at some level, all of us knew that there was something more going on than simply just head decisions and head knowledge. And it's really fascinating to me to see that neuroscience is proving this through experiments and things like that. Let's talk a little about these brains, so to speak. And by the way, they're brains because they're neural pathways. So that's a brain. These neural networks create the brain. And what's interesting to me when I've been reading the research on it is that it appears that unlike what we thought before, the reality is that with the combination of our gut and our heart, they have a larger percentage of information input into decision making than our brain does. So what we thought was doing all the work is not. It's our heart and it's our gut supporting brain decisions. But let me talk to you a little bit about what we see as heart, gut, brain. And this is not going to be a surprise to you. We know it intuitively. We really do. So what is the heart brain doing? You know, the heart brain is part of us that feels the anger, the emotions, the grief, the joy, the happiness. It's the part of us that wants us to achieve our aspirations, that has us dreaming big and wants to support us in that kind of dream. And you see it all over the place, whether you know it or not. You know, as a matter of fact, just recently I received a call from one of my clients who was offered a really big job in another organization. And when we were talking about the pros and cons, what actually was the final decision maker for her was she said to me, Nancy, you know, in my heart it just doesn't feel like it's the right place for me. I can't see myself being happy there. You know, that emotional happy as part of the decision making. And by the way, I would suggest that part of the gut was in that decision too, because less than a year later, that company was acquired and its employee workforce was gutted, laid off. So perhaps her gut was reading into this too, but the decision was made around a heart emotion. I would also suggest that we've seen what occurs when we don't allow our heart to be part of the process. Because you see, as part of the heart decision brain function, values is one of them. And just think about the 2008 economic downturn. That's a decision that was made. Many of the companies showed decision-making processes that left out values, heart-brain transaction, that harmed the companies, the people in America, and certainly harmed our country, not to mention global impact that we're still feeling the results of, although we're back in form again. So that's the heart really exercising power over the decision making, and it shows you good decisions using the heart and poor decision making when you leave the heart brain out of your decision making functionality. Now, let's talk about the gut. You know, honestly, this isn't a big surprise to any of us because haven't you heard time and time again, oh, it was a gut call, or my intuition spoke to me. And that kind of phrasing has been in business for years and years and years. As a matter of fact, a recruiting company, Christian & Timbers, did some research that showed that 45% of executives are making decisions more based upon their gut intuition than they are facts and figures. So it's been happening for a long time. We just haven't called our gut a brain. So what is the gut responsible for? Well, it's there to help us survive. It's there to protect us. It's there to support us reaching some of the goals that we want to achieve in our lives. So it's part of who we are. It's the instinctive part. It's that old part of us that comes out to talk when we're walking almost to a cliff edge and going back, 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 go back. So that's part of it. Now let's look at the head, and that's something that we for years obviously thought was making all the decisions. And clearly the new neuron research that's coming out shows that that is not true at all. But our head is responsible for those analytical decisions. The decisions that help us understand and make analytical decisions and process and see patterns in what we're looking at. And that's really critical for us. And so the head is always looking, again, to support us, but from more of a linear execution functionality. And by the way, creativity comes out of the head. And so you know how important creativity is, and I've talked about it in my articles and in my video and in my audio blogs, so perhaps you don't want to hear it again, but honestly, creativity in business is one of the most valued qualities that you can have as leader. So I wish I had more time to go in depth. I don't in this video. If you're interested in this topic, there's books, there's articles, and you could always call me, because it would be my joy and I would absolutely love to have an in-depth conversation about this topic, because I really think it's revolutionary. I've been a coach for 30 years, and the reading that I'm doing in this field has me reshifting ever so slightly some of the questions that I'm asking, some of the nuances in the coaching calls that I'm having. And if you're in leadership, if you are managing people, I would suggest you want to understand how the heart brain, the gut brain, and the head brain interact so that you can bring those things out in your employees. Because honestly, what happens when you tap into these three brain sources is that this is wisdom. It's acquiring wisdom. And honestly, wisdom is what authentic leadership is all about. So, thank you so much for listening. I hope this was informative. I look forward to having you join me on the next Mindful Business Tip. And much success to you always in all your endeavors. Have a great day.